City hybrid hearing on the Committee on Fire and Emergency Management. Please silence all electronic devices. At no time, please do not approach the dais. If you have any questions, kindly raise your hand, and we, the Sergeant at Arms, will assist you. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation. Chair, we're ready to begin.
Good morning. My name is Joanne Ariola, and I am the chair to the Fire and Emergency Management Committee. Today, we are holding a hearing on legislation that will be introduced by Council Member Gail Brewer at the next stated meeting, of which I am a co-prime sponsor, along with my fellow committee members Holden, Yeager, and Carr. This bill, which we are hearing pre-considered, will be introduced at the next stated meeting and would create a one-time exception to the maximum age requirement for membership in the fire department for certain persons during the next promotional exam period. Before moving forward with my opening statement, I would like to acknowledge the members of the Fire and Emergency Committee who are here today. Council members Holden, Kagan, Carr, and Schulman. I would also like to thank Councilmember Brewer, who I believe is currently on her way, and I would like to thank the members of the public and representatives from the administration who are here to provide testimony. I would like to briefly discuss why we are here today and why I support this important piece of legislation. This past June, we held an oversight hearing examining the paths to promotion within the New York City Fire Department. During that hearing, we focused on what the department calls its promotional exam, which allows EMS workers who have not surpassed their 29th birthday to qualify to become a New York City firefighter. The city last held this exam in 2016. And despite historically offering the exam every 4 to 5 years, has still not held one as a result of delays due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The city has now set the registration period for the next exam to be held in 2024. Registration begins this November. Unfortunately, the long pause in exam scheduling resulted in numerous EMS workers who would have otherwise been eligible to take the exam to be unfairly disqualified due to surpassing the maximum age requirement. The introduction we're hearing today seeks to remedy this issue by permitting those individuals who missed out due to the COVID-19 delays to take the next promotional exam offered by the city. This one-time extension granted by the bill will only be available for certain individuals who have been affected by the pandemic's disruption. Those who would have otherwise been eligible had the city given the test in its usual frequency. As we witnessed during this June's hearings, many hardworking EMTs and paramedics delivered inspiring testimony describing their immense desire to become New York City firefighters, but had been disqualified due to their age. They expressed that they would simply like the opportunity to take the promotional exam. We also heard testimony on the financial and emotional strain that it has placed on our city's emergency medical staff on a daily basis, with workers often having to take on a second job and maximizing overpay time to ensure they are earning a living wage. Throughout the deadly COVID-19 pandemic, New York City EMS workers were literally the city's first responders in providing essential medical assistance. During this challenging time for New York City, our EMS workers proved to everyone the vital and heroic role they served in. We should, at the very least, give them the fair opportunity to take the promotional exam and continue to serve our city in a new capacity. I now ask our committee counsel, Josh Kingsley, to administer the oath to the administration.
Thank you, Chair. For the FDNY, we'll be hearing from Assistant Commissioner of External Affairs, Jason Shelley. Jason, can you raise your right hand and repeat the following? I affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this committee and to answer honestly to council member questions.
I do.
Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Ariola, members of the Fire and Emergency Management Committee. My name is Jason Shelley. I'm Assistant Commissioner for External Affairs at the New York City Fire Department. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today about the Emergency Medical Services EMS promotional exam. Many members of FDNY EMS are interested in becoming firefighters and enroll in a promotional exam that enables them to become FDNY firefighters. The promotional exam creates an opportunity for EMS members to become firefighters without taking the open and competitive exam. This exam is offered periodically on a cycle that is generally 4 to 5 years. The most recent promotional exam was offered in December 2016. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic delayed the exam cycle, and though the next promotional exam was expected to have taken place in late 2020, that exam was not given and it has been delayed ever since. One side effect of this delay is that some members of EMS who would have been eligible to take the promotional exam as it was originally scheduled have now become ineligible under Administrative Code 15103, which holds that to become a firefighter, an individual must not have reached his or her 29th birthday on the date of the filing for the exam. The fire department views this outcome as inequitable and unfair to the members who were affected. I know that members of the committee share this concern, and I'm grateful for Chair Ariola's partnership and proactive commitment to this issue. Working with our colleagues at the Department of Citywide Administrative Services and the New York City Law Department, I'm proud that we've worked out a legislative solution. The bill that the committee is hearing today makes a one-time exception to the maximum age requirement for the upcoming promotional exam. This will enable the affected members of EMS to be eligible to take the exam just as they would have if the exam had not been delayed by the pandemic. We're grateful to the City Council, to our partners in administration for working out a solution. The affected EMS members are already making valuable contributions to this city and to the people of New York, and we value them as members of the department. It would have been wrong to leave them behind due to a phenomenon that was out of the control of the members and of the city. And thanks to the action taken by the council today and further with this bill, that will no longer be the case. And I just want to mention, I specifically mentioned Chair Ariola, you've been a tremendous advocate for our members on this issue. We've heard from a number of council members. There's really been great interest, and so thank you to you and to your colleagues. Thanks very much.
Thank you. So, Jason, how many EMS workers took the last promotional exam and how many succeeded in becoming firefighters, if you have that information?
A little over 1,100 took the exam. A little over 900 became firefighters.
And does the department make EMS workers aware of their ability to take the promotional exam to become a firefighter, either during the pre-employment recruitment stage or after they have joined the department?
Yes, it's a pretty robust system. We have in the past, and we will for this exam, reach out to every eligible member, see whether they're interested. We'll do that before the enrollment period opens, and we'll do that throughout to make sure, and then give them a reminder of when the exam is coming up. And actually, if they choose to do it, to take the exam, we remain in contact with them throughout the other steps. So saying, your CPAT is coming up. We try to give them ways, attrition mitigation, we try to give them ways to prep for that CPAT exam. We assign them a mentor that they can ask questions and understand anything that needs clarification. So we try to really work with them through the entire process. And that mentor actually stays with them through not only the fire academy, but through their first month or so at the firehouse.
Great. And how many individuals were affected by the delay in offering the promotional exam?
By our calculation, it's a little over 320. I think 324 people would have been eligible and are now eligible now.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to yield to my colleagues, see if they have any questions. I'm sorry, Councilmember Holden.
Thank you, Chair. That was quick. Question, Commissioner. Why wasn't this the test given in 2022? You know, I mean, it just seems to me that this is actually good for the fire department. I don't know if it's good for EMS to lose so many, but this is they have a head start. They've had training in a very key area of a firefighter. So when you say these exams are given 4 to 5 years, why isn't it a regular cycle, first of all, like every 4 years, every 3 years? And then when the pandemic was really over in 22, why wasn't it just automatically given?
Yeah, it's a good question. The Department of Citywide Administrative Services issues these exams. I know a number of exams were delayed during that pandemic. My best guess is that they were digging out from there were a number of exams that were backed up, and so they were working through those. But specifically why it wasn't 22, why it's now, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, because it almost seems that people used the pandemic for not doing certain things, which you could still give exams during the pandemic. There could have been, people did work. People did come to work. The EMS workers were there. They didn't work remotely. So it's kind of like a kick in the head that they didn't get it. And then we have to do legislation to rectify it. It just seems very, very unfair. And I'm glad the department recognizes it, but I'm thinking now that we probably should get on a regular cycle and hold to it. And even if there are pandemics ahead of us, that we could figure out a way to give the exam. So because the school went on in 22, there were everybody went back to work, and that's what I'm concerned about. That we have to do something that the department should have taken. And I'm not even sure it needs legislation. I guess it does, but I'm not sure that the commissioner or the mayor could have said, look, there was a lull, let's rectify this and give the exam in 22. But somebody in the department, I think, was asleep at the wheel, or at least, like you said, in the administrative services, that should have been handled, and somebody should have said that rather than us sitting here. So, but I thank you for your testimony. I thank you for your support.
Yeah, my understanding is this wasn't just about fire department exams; it was all exam. But your point is very well taken. And nobody did more work during the pandemic than our members, specifically our EMS members. They were really putting themselves on the line every single day.
Right. So those are the last people that you wanted to victimize here.
Yep.
So that's why. They had a tough time during the pandemic, the EMS. They got COVID a lot. They really didn't get tested very well. They had to do it on their own time. There's a lot of inequities. And for this is just another kind of, unfair situation for them, which there seems to be a lot. So what I would like is that we can get on a regular schedule and hold to it. And then announce it, way in advance. Thank you.
Just as a follow-up, had the city planned to offer a promotional exam in 2020? Was there outreach for that promotional exam and then it was canceled?
There was a plan to offer it in late 2020, in December 2020. I don't know about the outreach. I don't know how far along that was before it was canceled, because I think DCAS exams were canceled as of the spring, and so I can check on whether how far along that process was.
And I know that we were talking about registration opening in October, and now it's November. Do we have a date in November?
November 1st. I checked that yesterday to be ready for today, and I was told November 1st it will be the opening of it.
Yeah, and I like the members of the committee to know that this has been a very long process with the administration, with the fire department, because first they didn't think we needed legislation, then we went to DCAS, so there was a lot of work put into this, a lot of thought, and it did take a little bit of time, but we were always on the same page that this particular population needed to be able to take the test. So that's probably why there was such a length of time, because there was differences of opinion from the legal department and such, but it finally came down to legislation, and thankfully we have it. Councilmember Schulman.
Thank you very much. I think this is a great bill. I'll be signing on to it today. And I, as a former member of EMS on the admin side, not on the medical side, and my late partner was an EMS lieutenant, EMS Finney lieutenant. This is really important. So I have a couple of questions. Does the department make EMS workers aware of their ability to take promotional exams to become firefighters, either during the pre-employment recruitment stage or after they've joined the department?
Yeah, we do. It's a proactive outreach to everybody who's a member who is eligible to take the exam. That's the first cut, to say this exam enrollment period is going to be opening. And then we stay in touch with them through emails, through text messages, through phone calls, to let them know, remind them that that deadline is coming up and you need to enroll. And then once you've enrolled, remind them of when the exam is and when it's going to be. And these are our members already. They're already members of the fire department, so it's easy for us to stay in touch with them and try and help them along the process as best we can.
Okay, and I'm going to say when, the question says if, but I'm going to say when the legislation passes, does the department plan to do the necessary outreach to ensure everyone is aware of their eligibility to take the next promotional exam?
Yep, and that's exactly what I was just mentioning with the phone calls and the texts and the emails. We're going to be making sure people know that they're eligible, and we're going to make sure they know when they can be signing up.
And Assistant Commissioner, I just want to say for folks that are listening, we've known each other a long time, and you do a really great job. So I want to recognize that.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm done, Chair. Thank you.
Councilmember Kagan.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I would like to commend Chair Ariola for hosting this important hearing and your leadership on this issue. And thank you to my colleagues. So I have a few comments and questions. So first of all, I have a question regarding this age limit. Why we cannot get away from this age limit altogether? Does this exam include some physical tests, etc.? Like, why do we need like 29 years, 30 years, 35 years, any age? Why?
I'm not sure I know why we have an exam or an age limit as a whole. A number of the uniform services in the city have historically have an age limit, as you know. There is a physical component to this, not to the written test. There's something called the CPAT, the Candidate Physical Ability Test, that takes place as part of this process. It is a physically demanding job, as you know, and not everybody necessarily is cut out for it.
Yeah, but
that's
that
part of
person
the
is 35
process.
years old, 36 years old, and can pass all of these tests and physically strong. Why do we need this 29, 30, etc.?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the age limit probably has less to do with the front end of people being 29 versus 31 versus the back end of how long people stay and what the physically demanding toll on older firefighters. But the idea of whether we need it and whether it's set correctly is a good one. It's come up before, and I think we'd probably be open to discussion on whether
So
29 is
you're
appropriate.
open to get rid of age requirement in general?
We'd be open to discuss it for sure.
Good. Second question is, what is the starting salary? I believe this issue was raised before at public hearings in City Hall. Is it true that the starting salary for EMS workers in New York City is $39,000 a year?
EMS members are paid not nearly enough for the value they provide for the city. I think you're definitely right about that. We've had some success lately, particularly under Commissioner Kavanaugh, in pushing to improve that. I know they members got a historic 30% increase in salary under their last collective bargaining, and we've looked for other ways as a department. We've looked for other ways for people to earn money. There's differentials for Be Heard training, for instance, for taking place in the Counterterrorism Rescue Task Force. We've tried to identify additional ways for people to earn more money and get them closer. But you're certainly right that I would say they're underpaid for sure.
And also, is it true that in other cities and states across the country, completely opposite dynamic is happening, that firefighters are asking for promotional exams to become EMS workers as a result of the higher pay for EMS workers?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay. I believe that they're clearly underpaid. They're well respected, of course, but not if you judge by their pay. And I believe that this is like long-term issue and it should be rectified. I know it's a collective bargaining agreement, etc., but it's so unfair that our brave EMS workers make less very often than person who is doing burgers in McDonald's. And again, we respect every profession, but like they're risking their lives very often. So I believe it's totally unacceptable in the capital of the world. And this age requirement is, in my opinion, is also unacceptable. The only criteria should be physical strength and physical ability of the person to do the job. So I strongly support this legislation, but I believe we need to go much, much further. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Carr.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks so much for your testimony. Councilmember. Thank you so much, Chair. Assistant Commissioner, thank you for your testimony. Councilmember Shulman asked my questions about outreach, so that's been covered, but I wanted to ask, hopefully a good number of folks who are EMS succeed in the forthcoming examination and they move to their new title. Are there plans to do an EMS exam in the near future thereafter? Because obviously we're going to need to fill those ranks again.
Yeah, we've been bringing in 3 classes a year. We staff up. We're actually at capacity. We staff up in anticipation of this, but there's no doubt that it takes a toll on the ranks of EMS as people move over to become firefighters. And so we'll continue pushing those classes through as quickly as we can to make sure we're staying as close to headcount as we can.
And what is the head count?
It's 4,400. I think we're budgeted for 4,447. We're just over that right now.
Okay, great, thank you. So I'll just say I just appreciate so much the work of the administration, in particular Fire, DCAS Law, and of course City Hall, in collaborating with us here in the council. I thank the lead sponsor, Councilmember Brewer, and of course the leadership of our committee chair, Joanne Ariola, for making this a reality, and the advocacy of so many who are here today and were at the last hearing, and never letting up on this this crucial matter, and so proud to be a co-sponsor of the bill. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, thank you so much, Assistant Commissioner, for your testimony. It was great to see you, and it's been great working with you to get to this day. So thank you so much, and thank Commissioner Kavanaugh as well.
I will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jason. Next, we'll head to public testimony. So we're going to start with folks who are in person, and then we'll pass it off to individuals who are registered on Zoom. First, we will hear from, Michael Kavanaugh first. For members of the public, if you just want to submit testimony online, you could just email it to testimony@council.nyc.gov, or you could give written copies as well.
Right. If they pass the test, they pass the test.
Good morning. Before I start, I'd like to thank the council for having this meeting and inviting myself along with my colleagues. My name is Michael Kavanaugh. I am 27 years old, and I've been a member of the FDNY since 2018. Currently, I am on track to graduate from the FDNY Paramedic Basic Program in November. Prior to pursuing paramedic training, I spent 5 years at Station 47 in Rockaway Beach as an emergency medical technician. Station 47 is a unique station, for it shares quarters with a firehouse. Many of the members of the firehouse came through EMS. It could be seen on medical calls that the engines respond to. The skills we bring as EMTs and paramedics do not leave the department. It becomes an asset. Unlike normal civilians who get hired off the open competitive exam, EMTs and paramedics have a basic understanding of radio codes, 911 emergency experience, and most importantly, we know what high standards the greatest fire department in the world holds us to. Due to COVID-19, we have been denied a chance at career advancement. Over the past 5 years, I've worked with members ranging from 20 years of age to 60 years of age. Over time, and slowly but surely, they have become my family. In that time frame, many members of my family have either reached their 29th birthday or have left EMS completely to pursue other careers. Over the past few months, numerous members have lost hope in advancing their careers into the fire service. Many are the same members who didn't think twice to help the people of New York during the COVID-19 pandemic. The hard work we did as a service was something our department has never seen. Normally, EMS responds to roughly 4,000 to 5,000 calls a day. We responded to 8,000 plus calls a day. Members all over the city stepped up for overtime, took time away from their families, and most importantly, got the job done while civilians did their best to stay indoors. I couldn't tell you a name on this department that didn't contract COVID. Through those times, we lost parts of our family as well. COVID hit us hard, but many of us hit COVID right back. The city does not owe us anything. We are asking for you to hear our concerns and hope you support our efforts that got us here today. The normal testing cycle is every 4 years. The last filing was October of 2016, with a test in December of 2016. It's been over 7 years without a filing or test. Had the normal 4-year testing cycle been honored, members would have filed for the promotional exam in 2020. The current open competitive exam was giving a 2-year extension and is set to expire in February of 2025, further pushing back at an opportunity to promote. The maximum age the fire department allows a member to take the exam is 28, meaning by 29, a member is no longer eligible to take the promotional exam. We are asking for your support in helping members who have passed the age of 29 to have an opportunity to advance their careers onto the fire service. 3 years ago, we stood tall against the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we ask you to stand tall with us and help us achieve our goals of becoming New York City firefighters. I thank you for your time.
Thank you for your service. I'm sorry, Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Michael. And again, thank you for 5 years you worked. Tell me what you bring to the table if you were a firefighter that some firefighters may not have.
So, like I said, I'm graduating from the FDNY's paramedic program in November. I'm getting advanced life support training. So I can intubate, I can give IVs. That skill actually gets taken away from me becoming a firefighter. But if I was assigned to an engine company, I'd be able to use my expertise in medical, trying to think of what I could say. I could use my expertise as a medical technician to...
No, but especially if there was let's say, an accident where there were multiple victims, and the firefighters came to the scene, you could jump in and help stabilize the victim. So there's a tremendous asset here that we didn't tap into because of the COVID. But like I mentioned in my testimony, and like the Councilman Kagan next to me said, what about the age problem? Like, because why can't a 32-year-old who passes the physical be a firefighter?
It's actually funny. My father's walking in right now. He got hired at 31 or 32 in 1992, I think it was, and that was because his exam got held up. But he's a perfect example of somebody who got on past the age of 29. So
it's been done.
It's been done.
And there's no problem with it.
No.
We should examine, like my colleague said, the age. You know, if somebody passes the physical, if you're 33 and you're fit and you have a head start and you have more training, and especially in the medical, which is nothing more important than that, then you should become a firefighter.
I agree.
Thank you. Thanks for your testimony.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Frank Dades? Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna press the button.
Okay, we're good. Good morning. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to give us the opportunity to share our stories. My name is Frank Dades. I've been an FDNY EMT since 2018. I've always had a passion for helping people and have held a strong belief in a life of service. So for the last 9 years of my life, I've dedicated to serving the city of New York in multiple ways. After graduating college, I joined the Concrete Construction Union. I've had the privilege of working on some of the biggest projects in the country: One Vanderbilt, Hudson Yards, Manhattan West, Pier 57, and the World Trade Center grounds, just to name a few. While working full-time in construction, I became a New York State EMT and filed for the Fire Department Emergency Medical Services. After 4 years in the construction industry, it was now time to serve the city I once helped build. 2 years with the department came and went before we were faced with one of the darkest times any of us ever could have imagined. The COVID-19 pandemic hit. The unknowns were endless, but what we did know was that the people of our city were relying on us, and this was our fight to face. Stores closed, people worked from home, streets were empty, but what you always saw were the ambulances that rolled through every street in every borough, responding to those calls in need. We would work around the clock, 16-hour shift after 16-hour shift, to help take the weight off of our fellow coworkers. Some slept in cars, some slept in hotels to avoid bringing this unknown virus we may have contracted home to our loved ones. This is what service is: putting the needs of others above your own, no matter the cost, and that's what we signed up to do. Had this unforeseen circumstance never happened, a promotional exam to firefighter was set to be administered in 2020. Now, as a result of the pandemic, it has been 7 years since the last promotional exam has been offered. So many people who would have been eligible in 2020 have since aged out due to a strict age limit of 29 years old. My other colleagues touched upon some other reasons as to why we seek an age extension for those who aged out, but I would like to touch on something different. For some reason, the current policy implies that if we turn 29, we are unqualified to take the exam. I believe that age does not determine whether a person is qualified, but rather the commitment and capability of one's mental and physical strength and well-being. Although I am not unique in this opinion, I could use myself as an example. First, I'll touch on physical capabilities. From the age 27 to 28 years old, after I've been a CrossFit athlete for 3 years prior, I've competed in bodybuilding, I've run multiple half marathons, multiple full marathons, and received the Oriole Palmer Fitness Award, which is the department's highest honor awarded by the FDNY Health and Fitness Unit, which consists of grueling tests of physical strength and endurance in memory of Deputy Chief Oriole Palmer, who died on 9/11. At age 21, none of this was an option for me. In fact, it all seemed these physical feats were impossible at that time. Second, I will touch on mental capabilities. Aside from my 4 years experience in the construction industry, can I continue? I have over 5 years experience working as an FDNY EMT, where I've had the honor to serve my home borough of Staten Island, downtown Manhattan, and now work at the EMS Academy as a certified lab instructor and drill instructor. I've learned so much through my experiences. I can make critical decisions in times of chaos, and I know how to remain calm when others around me may not be. I've been there for people on the worst days of their lives to treat, comfort, and care for. At age 21, I had none of this. I was a young kid who graduated college, just entering the real world. I knew nothing of what it was like to work as a first responder and move toward unknown and sometimes dangerous situations while most other people would run away from them. I bring these points up to show that myself nor my colleagues are not any less capable or qualified to do the job at 29 than we were at 21. On the contrary, I believe it makes us more of an asset. When going for a job interview, resumes are usually required to understand a potential candidate's experience in the field they are pursuing. More often than not, the candidate with the bigger resume and experience in the field will get the job. A number does not define whether we are qualified or not. Instead, it has given us only experience out on the streets, but also knowledge, maturity, patience, dedication, and a deep appreciation for the job we are so very determined to achieve. This is our resume. We do not expect anything other than the opportunity to just toe the line. In light of the unexpected setbacks resulting from the COVID pandemic, our opportunity promotion was delayed and for some taken away completely. We now ask that you please consider this one-time age extension to allow us the chance to continue serving the city with the knowledge and experience we have already gained as proud members of the FDNY. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Seeing no questions from the committee, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge that we've been joined by Councilmember Gail Brewer, who is the prime sponsor of this bill. Councilmember, would you like to make a statement at this time?
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chair. The mayor decided to have a press conference in my district this morning, so I apologize for being late. That's why I'm late, because I'm never usually late. You are certainly the hero of this topic in terms of making sure that those who were our heroes during COVID continue to get what they deserve. So along with you and the other co-sponsors, I'm really honored to be introducing this legislation. We all know it's a one-time waiver from existing age requirements for becoming a firefighter for EMS workers who would have otherwise been unable to take the promotional exam because of when it was canceled or postponed, we should say, in 2020 because of the pandemic. We know how brave firefighters and EMS workers are. I don't think anyone would dispute that. They are public service par excellence. This legislation is a small way to show our appreciation for their service and to give these heroes a fair chance to compete for promotions in the fire department. As you've heard from Mr. Kavanaugh and others, they have the skills and the experience to be successful firefighters for a whole series of reasons. Obviously the maximum age was a challenge because of COVID, and hopefully this legislation will address that. I know it does not take care of everyone who wants to take the exam, but I think we have maximized an opportunity which is consistent with the applicable law. And I also know We need to work harder to get the salaries of the EMS workers to be more in line with the fire department and the work they do. That is an ongoing issue, and I know this particular committee is addressing that with the wonderful chair. So I want to thank you. I want to thank your amazing staff, and certainly the staff of the speaker, and Cynthia Hornig from my office, who has been so helpful in prioritizing this important bill. And thank you very much, and blame the mayor for me being late. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Next, we'll hear from Dominic DeFranco.
Good morning, council members and all in attendance. I'd like to thank the council for allowing me to testify for a second time. I would also like to thank all parties for attending this meeting. My name is Dominic DeFranco. I am a paramedic for the FDNY and have been serving this city for almost 7 years. I have been working in the EMS field for almost 10 years, which is about a third of my life. Today, I am testifying for the age extension for the upcoming firefighter promotional exam and to explain why potential EMTs and paramedics should be applicable for this. The last firefighter promotional exam was over 7 years ago. This has been the longest period without an exam. The next upcoming promotional exam was scheduled for 2020. This was discussed at multiple firefighter division meetings with suspected filing dates and the inclusion of the fire cadets. Unfortunately, COVID-19 occurred and paused the city. This led to the postponing of the exam and extending the open civilian firefighter exam. This had become a deterrent for FDNY EMS members who were of age in 2020 and now have aged out within these past 3 years. It is an unprecedented situation that is unfair to these members who were of age at that time. FDNY EMS members are valuable assets for the fire side. They already are familiar with the 911 system, have prior medical experience, understand fire operations, and are more eager and determined than those from the civilian exam. A majority of diversity and females are extracted from EMS. Most of the members who were eligible in 2020 have progressed in their career and can provide better knowledge and care than typical FDNY CFR would. This experience is priceless. As a previous council member stated in June of this year, what is the difference between a 29-year-old firefighter and a 30-year-old firefighter? New York City has the lowest age restriction for becoming a firefighter in this country, with many states having up to 35 years of age. Members would feel cheated if they were unable to file due to an unavoidable matter and should be given the opportunity to endure the screening process. Personally, I was the first EMS class after the previous promotional exam, which was 31 days after I started. And today is my 2,388th day of working for the FDNY. On October 4th, I'll be 41 days over age. I was 26 years old in 2020, and I started the FDNY at the age of 22. We deserve an age extension. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you so much. I'd like to also recognize that Councilmember De La Rosa has joined the hearing.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we'll hear from Hallie Soto. Sato, thank you.
Good morning. First and foremost, I would like to thank Councilwoman Ariola, Councilwoman Brewer, and all others in attendance for hosting this hearing. My name is Haley Fumiko Sato, and I've been an emergency medical technician with the FDNY since February of 2020. A little under 4 months ago, I sat before you and shared my story. Since that time, 4 of my colleagues in the same predicament have resigned from the department to start new careers. All 4 of those colleagues were qualified, hardworking individuals and assets to this department who simply lost hope in regards to an age extension and could not say no to new opportunities. Today I sit before you to reiterate my concerns and continue to fight for the dream that myself and so many others have, to become New York City firefighters. After graduating college with a degree in nutrition and exercise science, I found myself unfulfilled and unsure of how to pursue a career that would not only be physically demanding, but that would also allow me to selflessly serve my community. While working in a local gym, I met a female training to become a firefighter. Her determination, drive, and passion for selfless service continues to inspire me to this day. She gave me career advice that changed my life. Join the FDNY. I never grew up with firefighters as role models, as that isn't a typical career path in a Japanese American household. The idea of learning new skills, connecting with diverse individuals, and having a career with a history like no other, all while creating my own legacy, strongly appealed to me. I entered the EMS Academy in February of 2020. Nobody could have ever predicted that a global pandemic would put the world to a halt the following month. Classrooms went virtual, restaurants were limited to takeout only, Major League sports were suspended, and almost any job could be done remotely. However, the work of a first responder could not be done from home. With 6 weeks of training under my belt, myself and my classmates were sent to the streets early to be the first responders the citizens of New York City so desperately needed. As EMTs, we take an oath to dedicate our lives to the service of humanity, and that showed to be especially true during the city's darkest times. Because we were in a state of emergency, myself and my coworkers were mandated to work 16-hour shifts for multiple days in a row. Many of us would sleep in our cars in fear of bringing the virus home to our families. Many of us contracted the virus ourselves. Many of us showed up to work grieving the loss of friends, family, and coworkers. Nonetheless, we persevered, remembering that oath we took. Since joining the FDNY, I am proud to say I have already taken multiple opportunities that have come my way. I've worked in the Lower East Side, Washington Heights, and Jamaica, Queens. In May of 2022, I became a drill instructor at the FDNY EMS Academy with Frank Dades. This position not only allows me to help shape the future of the department, but also to take my background in health and fitness and apply it to our physical training sessions. I'm also a member of the FDNY Phoenix Society, where I proudly help to bridge the cultural gap in this department. On the streets, we advocate for our patients, and at the Academy, I advocate for our students. If the unforeseen circumstance of COVID-19 were to never happen, a promotional exam from the rank of EMT to firefighter, may I continue, would have been slated for 2020, given the 4-year cycle it runs on. Many of our members, including myself, who would have qualified to take that exam, will no longer qualify as we have aged out. I turned 29 years old in March of this past year. I was 25 years old when I got on the job, and today I'm 29. We do not feel that we are owed an exam or deserve a handout. We simply would like to have the opportunity that we would have had in 2020 if a global pandemic did not shut down the world. I would like to note that the City of Los Angeles County, Washington, D.C., and the City of Philadelphia have no maximum age limit in regards to becoming a firefighter. For the City of Chicago and Houston, you cannot have reached your 36th birthday by the date of hire. As FDNY EMTs, we already are trained to make life and death decisions in emergency situations. We raise the bar of patient care when working in a fire company responding to medical calls, and we are already trained in FDNY operations and procedures that may be foreign to some. I was once told that you could either choose to be on this job or in this job. By continuously learning and taking every opportunity that's given to me, I choose to be in this job. They say that good things take time and great things take a little bit longer. I'm confident that the hard work I've put in now will make the feeling of calling myself the first New York City firefighter in my family even more rewarding. Thank you for your time.
Haley, before you go, I would just like to say thank you to you for advocating so much for your coworkers with our office through this committee and really helping us come to this day. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Very much appreciated. Councilmember Holden.
And thank you again for that great testimony and for all you've done so far. Tell me how you felt that you couldn't take a test, but you could work. You could work every day during a pandemic. I mean, to me, I said that in the beginning, that it seemed out of step and it seemed demoralizing that you had to work such long hours during COVID and then couldn't take a test. And that's what I'll be critical of the department for that, because they put it off, but they put it off, again, they could have done it in 22. So what I'm saying is they owed it to the EMS workers that were out in the field that got COVID multiple times, many, and that some of your colleagues, you said quit, just left the
Just
department.
over this past summer.
And so can you elaborate on that a bit? Like, what talent did we lose?
So I'm also a nursing student right now. 2 of my friends finished their nursing programs, and they just said they just can't wait any longer. They just want to start new careers. I'm a little bit more positive. I want to hold on to hope. and I'm going to obtain my nursing degree and do, both things in life. But I think it was very unfortunate we weren't able to take that exam, but I'm never going to take that out on the citizens. We signed up for a job. We're going to do that job.
But they had experience, those people that quit.
They were incredible assets to this
Right.
department. They had experience. They're going to make incredible nurses, but they would also be incredible in a fire company, since we do raise that bar of patient care with that background and foundation in basic life support.
Thank you again so much.
Councilmember.
I want to join the chair in saying that you're a rock star, both here and in person, having seen you speak several times. My question is, the people who left, if this bill is to pass, which I hope it does, then would they be eligible for the test? Is that something that they could hold out help for, or are they not eligible?
They would be eligible, but given that they resigned from the department, I don't think they would be anymore. They're not active members.
Okay. All right. And then I also want to say, just so you know, in the police department, there was one Japanese police officer. He's an attorney, so he's gone to a law firm. We need you. Thank you.
Arigato.
No, one more question from Councilmember De La Rosa. And I just would like to note for the record that we've been joined by Councilmember Yeager.
Well, thank you so much, Chair Ariola. This is more a comment. You mentioned Washington Heights, which is the community that I represent, and I want to thank you for your service. I also happen to be the labor chair here in the City Council, and I know how important this is, and I look forward to supporting this bill when it comes to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Safe.
And your advocacy.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Jordan Timoney.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for the council members, the department members, as well as supporters for being here this morning and allowing us this opportunity. My name is Jordan Timoney. I am currently an active FDNY EMT in the borough of Brooklyn. I am here today in regards to the FDNY EMS to firefighter promotional exam to help support the members that are in jeopardy of losing out on a future promotional opportunity due to their current age. In this testimony, you may or may not hear a slight accent in my voice. If you do, that is because I'm not from New York. I was born and raised in Wichita, Kansas. Today, I'd like to tell my story on how a Midwest kid ended up in the big city. In 2011, after 18 years, I finally moved away from Wichita to a small college town. My first year of college at the University of Kansas was a struggle. I knew I needed to be in school, but I had no idea of what I wanted to study. From 2012 to the next few years, I became a volunteer firefighter in Douglas County. I obtained the necessary firefighter certifications, and I finally conquered the intimidating EMT course that I had long put off. I graduated in December 2015 with a degree in communication studies, even though my passion was the fire service. February 2017, I was hired by the Olathe Fire Department in a suburb of Kansas City. During my early career, a coworker had gotten me in contact with an FDNY lieutenant in the Bronx. I had a special connection to him. He is also from Kansas. He inspired me, and he helped point me in the right direction to applying and getting on the EMS exam list in New York. In November 2019, I made the decision to leave the Olathe Fire Department after almost 3 years and return to work in my hometown of Wichita. January 2020, 2 weeks from graduating the fire academy, I finally got the call from FDNY EMS. I now had a life-changing decision to make. I got my official FDNY offer 5 days later, and I was finally on the road to New York. I left everything I knew, my family, my friends, my career, my dog. I was finally pursuing my dream of becoming a New York City firefighter. I started the EMS Academy in February 2020. All of a sudden, the world changed. Due to the pandemic, everything was put on hold. The only thing that was not put on hold was my age. I moved here when I was 26 years old. I'm now 30 years old. Still hoping for an opportunity to become a New York City firefighter. We worked through the toughest times of the pandemic, when health and safety was crucial. Our family is constantly worried for us every day, confronting the uncertainties lying before us. The last promotional opportunity from FDNY EMS to firefighter was in August 2016. On a 4-year cycle, the next promotional exam should have been in the fall of 2020. The only chance I have at that dream now is for an age extension to be placed on the next promotional exam. I believe that age does not define our mental or physical capacity for the duties necessary to perform the job as a firefighter. Not only does our EMS experience enhance the operations in regards to medical treatment in the field, it also brings diversity to the department. Permission to continue. As of December 2021, between the ages of 29 and 35, there was 359 female members, 213 black members, 293 Hispanic members, and 59 Asian members, all eligible to become firefighters. This would be a huge potential to increase diversity in the department. So I, as well as others that share a similar story in pursuing the dream of becoming New York City firefighters, are here today in solidarity to ask that we are not denied that opportunity in the unforeseen circumstances of the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony, for your service. Any questions from the committee? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Next, we'll hear from Regina Wilson, followed by Joseph Kavanaugh.
Good morning, good morning. My name is Regina Wilson. I am the current president of the Vulcan Society. The Vulcan Society is definitely in favor of this bill. The only concerns that we have is that we just wanted to make sure that we are taking a look at the amount of African Americans that will be on this bill. And as a female, I'm also concerned about women on this bill. But we want to just take a look at, and we may have to reanalyze whether or not the promotional exam is yielding the amount of minorities that we need to fill these gaping holes that we have within the fire service. As you know, currently the fire department is 76% white, and we want to just make sure that these opportunities are granted to all. And sometimes the EMS route is open to a lot of our white counterparts' children and their nieces and nephews, more so their male counterparts. And so we just want to make sure that if we are moving forward, that we are taking a look at the diversity of the department, which it has lacked for centuries. And I also wanted to make sure that everyone is mindful of, because Chairperson Ariola had signed off on a bill in reference to the women's facilities. We are currently still having problems. There was a survey that was recently passed and went out with no input from any female firefighters at all. And we currently have a female firefighter that got assigned to one of the firehouses, and she now comes in and places all of her items on a chair because they have no place, no locker room or no space for her. A lot of the female facilities don't have ventilation. They have to walk through male locker rooms in order to get to their own bathrooms. And this is something that we've been telling the department for a long time. And my other concern is the Fire Academy. We recently have made the Academy aware of a lot of hazing and bullying that have been going on by their own drill instructors. The one drill instructor made another probie pick up their spit off of the floor. I personally watched a drill instructor make a probie roll on the floor as he laughed at him and made him do it in slow motion. And so there are a lot of mishaps that are happening there, and things that are not properly done by drill instructors or instructors that will give some of these members here a fair opportunity because they say that it's a paramilitary organization or say that it is because a part of the culture and tradition. The fire department allows you to, makes you want to conform and want you to lose yourself in order to be a member, when some of us bring our best selves forward, and that's the thing that helps to make the department to grow. So I really want the council to be aware of some of the hazing, the bullying tactics that happen that may prevent some of them from actually graduating from probationary firefighter school. I've made the department aware of this, and I wanted you guys to make sure that you know so that you can question some of the things that may prevent some of them from moving and progressing into the fire service. I know that we've had issues with that with some of our black candidates that are coming through, and it's happening as early as the point of them doing the run when they're still civilians. They are being cursed at, disrespected, homophobic slurs have been made, and we want to make sure that if anyone that's coming in that is any of your constituents, that they're getting a fair chance and a fair opportunity to be able to come a part of New York's bravest.
We certainly agree with you on all your points, and we have had conversations with the FDNY. They said surveys are happening, and they have until 2024 to make those accommodations inside the different firehouses. If that is not moving forward, and I will now keep a better eye on that, then we will have an oversight to make sure that it does happen. And question from Councilmember Holden.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson, for your testimony. I witnessed what you're talking about in the houses. They're not equipped to handle women firefighters. They're so behind that it's disgraceful, because I saw that they had to assign what you just mentioned. I witnessed when you said they have to walk where there's one woman firefighter in the house that I visited, and many of them have that, and you have to go through the men's locker room or the men's area, sleeping quarters, to get to the woman firefighter's little cubbyhole room. It is not equipped. It's obviously it's a man's world up there, and they need to change. But I don't know if they're taking it seriously, because the whole the whole firehouse was, in my estimation, wasn't kept up. It's a mess. It's dated, 100-year-old house, like many of them are, and they really need to put money toward. We need to put some funds toward revamping these houses to the point. And what you mentioned about the harassment, it's another thing that every department, certainly the fire department, needs to address. So I thank you for bringing this up. I witnessed it. It's happening. It's disgusting that they didn't make the necessary changes in the firehouse itself. And so I think we have to catch up. So if we want to make the department diverse, we first have to build the infrastructure. We can't use it as an afterthought years later. And it's so I thank you again for bringing this up.
Yeah, absolutely. It was in its own climate survey. As you saw in the climate survey, they said women and African Americans were treated 3 times worse dealing with discrimination within the fire service. In their own climate survey conducted by their own members, they told you that they were being treated unfairly, and I hope that the press coverage that came from it, as well as the information from the department, will help the council to see that we're really struggling in this fire service. We're being treated unfairly, and we're not allowed to move progressively the way that we need to, and it causes hardship, especially on African Americans, when there's a higher level of drug abuse, drinking, domestic violence, because they're developing PSTD, from dealing with a lot of hazing that are happening in the fire service. So I hope that we would take a look at that, and also Chairperson, that you will also see that this bathroom issue is being neglected. They told us they're not doing any renovations. The only thing they're doing is the new stuff that they're working on, but there's simplistic stuff that could be done in order to rectify these situations that could be done today. So I would just ask that the council really take a look at some of the things that we're going through, because it will affect some of these people here, whether they're black or not. The hazing and the bullying, it has to stop.
I will absolutely follow up with the fire department. Any other questions from? Yes, Councilmember Yeager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The specific incidents that you said you witnessed and that the department knows about it, were those written complaints that were filed?
Though these were EEO complaints were filed. One of them I filed myself.
How long ago did that happen?
It was this year, but unfortunately, the fire department does not have a policy that will even be able to remove people from the complaint spot. So, for instance, the person that did it at the academy, one is still there, and one, it took 5 weeks for them to remove it because they said they have no policy.
Would you be
so
able-
this was within the last 3 months.
Would you be able to provide the committee with a copy of those complaints?
I think that the department has it. So
You filed the complaints?
I verbally filed a complaint.
Can you verbally? You didn't put it in writing?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you so much for your testimony.
Next, we'll turn to Joseph Kavanaugh. And if there's anyone else in present who would like to testify, please sign up at the front here. After Mr. Kavanaugh, we'll turn to folks who are registered on Zoom. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chairperson Ariola, Chairperson Brewer. I apologize for my lateness also. My name is Joe Kavanaugh, and I retired as the captain of Engine Company 265 this past January. I was assigned there in 2013, and I served alongside not just firemen and fire officers, but also the officers, paramedics, and EMTs, excuse me, of Station 47. This is a unique arrangement for the FDNY, as there is only one other firehouse where EMS and fire share a station. That uniqueness gave me the chance to get to know many of these young people better than the average fire officer who only sees EMS personnel on medical runs. I'm also proud to say, excuse me, that my son Michael was also assigned there, and through him and his friendships with these kids, I've gotten to know many of them both professionally and personally. With that said, I've heard firsthand the concerns they have regarding the department's inaction on an age extension and the fear that they may not get their chance to take a promotional exam. The eligibles group that they organized has met with and received the support of the Chief of the Department, the Chief of EMS, and thankfully members of this committee. They've done their research, they're well-versed in previous FDNY exemptions to the current age cutoff of 29, and the age requirements of other uniformed agencies, both local and nationwide. But still, they have not received a concrete commitment regarding the age extension for the next promotional exam. And it's here where I need to stop and commend this committee for its actions at the previous hearing. With a few simple questions to the Assistant Commissioner present, the committee exposed the bureaucratic inertia that stands between these kids and their goals. There's no shortage of excuses: COVID, DCAS, the attrition myths that promoting EMTs to firefighters will decimate the EMS ranks. After the last promotional, I looked into the sky is falling claims of the most outspoken opponents of the promotional. They claimed 1,500 EMTs were lost. I checked the department orders. The head count of promotional exam graduates from Proby School was closer to 900. And those same opponents neglect to mention that the medical skills of these candidates do not leave the department, but be utilized every day on responses to medical emergencies. Excuses aside, the department has managed to schedule and hold promotional exams to lieutenant, to captain with no age restrictions, trained and graduated multiple classes of EMTs, and deviated from civil service rules to extend the current open competitive list for 2 years. This is a time-wasting and resource-draining process due to the cost of background checks and the number of candidates declining outnumbering those accepting. How could any extension for people not part of the FDNY be prioritized over a promotional? These kids deservedly felt forgotten. When I was promoted to lieutenant in 2007, the chief of training came to address my class at the First Line Supervisors Program. Anyone who knew him knew the man was someone not to be trifled with. His address was a total of 4 words that I still hear them today. I'll never forget them. You put you here. Then he left. The class, still glowing with all the relief and excitement and our family's pride, our co-workers' congratulations, expected another pat on the back, maybe an attaboy. Then it started to sink in. No excuses. You took this step to take on the responsibility and make decisions to ensure the safety and help advance the careers of your subordinates. Own it. Do your job. Be a leader. Excuse me. Maybe it's time for the answer people to hear those words too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Are there any questions from Councilmember Kagan?
Yeah, this question was raised today at the hearing about age limits. What is, in your opinion, should be, if any, age limit to take this exam?
Well, as my son let out of the bag, I was hired in 1993 and I was 32 years old. I did 29 years. I just completed it this past January. I don't believe that there's any impediment. As you can see, as I mentioned with the lieutenant and captain's exam, there's no age cap on that. There's no age cap on the entrance for EMT. Why is there an age cap for anyone that's already in this agency that just wants to follow a career path? Makes no sense to me, never has.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful son.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for your testimony. Again, if anyone else present wants to testify, please go see the Sergeant in Arms. We're going to turn to Zoom testimony. First, we'll hear from Michael Negro. I believe you're on Zoom, sir. And then anyone else who's on Zoom who'd like to testify, please, we're going to turn to you next, so be ready. I'll unmute you in just a second. One sec.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
You may begin.
Can you hear me? Am I
Yes.
on your end? Okay. Thank you. I know following Captain Kavanaugh is going to be a hard act to follow. Good morning. I'd like to thank the council for holding this meeting today. My name is Michael Nigro. I am a retired FDNY fire captain with over 25 years service. Before my appointment to the New York City Fire Department, I worked as an emergency medical technician in the 911 system for several voluntary hospitals. My background in both the fire and EMS service compels me to testify before the City Council meeting today. A short while ago in June, there was a meeting of the City Council regarding the FDNY's current plans to administer a promotional exam for FDNY EMS members who wish to attain the rank of firefighter. It was noted that the last promotional exam, and it's been said several times today, was administered in December of 2016, making that list over 7 years in the past. Traditional FDNY open competitive promotional exams have traditionally been administered in a 4 to 5 year interval, with 4 being the normal. Additionally, the then acting commissioner, Laura Kavanaugh, who is now the fire commissioner, extended the open competitive list for an additional 2 years, not to expire until February of 2025. Again, this stuff has already been discussed. In all fairness, if the open competitive exam can be extended due to the impacts of COVID,
Okay, we'll turn back. Oh, here he's back. I think it's his.
Yeah.
Michael, are you there still?
okay. I'm back. Am I unmuted?
There he is.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I don't understand how EMS members who are already serving in the department and are awaiting the opportunity to take the exam for firefighters are unable to have their list extended. This significant postponement in administering a promotional examination of firefighter will many members of the FDM for promotion doing to be because they'll be past the eligibility age. Without re-examining this age of 29.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on. We'll turn back to you if you're able to join back on. Next, we'll hear from Serena Sriscoe. Serena, are you there? Serena, when you join, we'll be happy to hear from you. Next, we'll hear from Taisha Pugh. Same offer there for Taisha. Next, we'll hear from Chevelle McCollum. Oh, I see Serena has joined us. So, and I see Taisha here as well now. Okay, so everyone's coming on at once. Okay. Let's. I don't know. So Serena, if you could go. Michael, we're going to turn back to you in just a minute, if that's all right, sir. Okay, thank you.
Hello. Hi. Hi all. My name is Serena Sriscoe. I'm a lieutenant in the fire department and the fire side, and I have 18 years in the job. When I first started in 2005, there were around 30 women firefighters in the fire department, and that was the lowest percentage, making New York City the lowest percentage of all major fire departments in terms of women. Through a lot of hard work from the advocacy and organizing of the United Women Firefighters, we're now at 152. Although it seems like a lot, this is still out of 11,000 people, which means women don't even account for 1.5% when the national average is 4%, and more progressive cities like Miami, Minneapolis, San Francisco, and Seattle have around 10 to 15% women in their departments. I say all this because approximately 30% of the active women firefighters that we do have took the promotion from EMS to fire. As such, we cannot lose any potential women firefighter candidates from this pool of EMS workers. In fairness, the age restriction for these folks should be lifted because the pandemic robbed many of them of this opportunity. FDNY has the lowest age cap out of all the major fire departments in the country. Most departments do not have an age limit, and when they do, the average is around 35 years old. I believe this is one of the many reasons why we have a lower percentage of women firefighters compared to other cities. Fire department is beyond behind on this issue, and for this reason, we need to count on every woman firefighter candidate that we reach. And I just want to make a couple of other points that weren't made previously, was that there was a age cap, a lifting of the age cap for in 2012's exam for the people who took the prior exam in 2006 because of the hiring freeze that Bloomberg made. So when we started hiring again in 2013, we had a lot of not traditionally aged probationary firefighters who were hired from that pool, as well as the priority hires that were hired during that time. So in effect, for that list, we have a whole generation of firefighters who are serving right now who are not traditionally aged. And I do want to reiterate what Firefighter Wilson said about the women bathroom issue, about the surveys, is that it's really important that we have input into what the surveys look like and what they're looking for when they're doing the surveys, because we're the ones affected by it. And if we have outside entities just doing a once over at these firehouses, they might not understand like what our needs are and what we have to do. I think, it was discussed already about, walking through the open locker rooms and things like that. But there are other things that might not be caught if the person working in that firehouse isn't able to communicate what the needs are. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Any questions from the panel? Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Okay, thank you so much, Serena. We'll try to turn back to Michael if you're able to get the bandwidth, followed by Taisha Pugh. So, Michael, if you're able to kind of finish up your statement, and then we'll move on from there. Thank you. Okay, Taisha, we'll go to you next. Go ahead.
Hi. So my name is Taisha Pugh. I'm currently the president of United Women Firefighters. I'm also on the board of the Vulcan Society. United Women Firefighters we're all firefighters. And one of our goals is to bring in more women, and currently we have less than 2%, and I definitely think we get help from the EMS promotional when it comes to recruiting women and people of color. So I'm in favor of waiving the age for the promotional. I feel like it's only right. The EMS professionals, some of them have a goal to take the promotional exam, and it's not fair that they lose that opportunity due to an uncontrollable circumstance such as the pandemic. Also, they're already employees of the fire department. I think we need to make sure that they have a fair opportunity to promote. Also, just to give a bit of my background, I took exam 619 back in 2007. I was very close to the cutoff age when I filed. So due to discriminatory things that were found in that exam towards minorities, the exam wasn't able to be used anymore. So I was never caught from that list, and I was ineligible to take the next exam. But thankfully, the age limit was waived for that next exam, and I was able to get on. So I'm here. I'm now one of New York City's bravest. So I also will comment on the women's bathroom survey. And the women not having the input that I would have liked. I found it was odd because we did ask that they consult the women during the survey, but they only they only consulted some women while the women were at work. Like if they were doing the survey and the woman was there, they consulted them. So many women didn't have a chance to be consulted. They asked me as the United Women Firefighter president, but I don't know what every firehouse looks like, and not every female is a part of United Women Firefighters. So I can't reach everyone, and every woman still needs the proper facilities, whether they're a member or not. Being that my goal is to get more women on that. Regina mentioned that there is a house, like we do have a house that don't have enough space for the women in it. They have a plan in effect right now for it, but it's like the last minute, so to like wait to the last minute to fix and set up the facilities when we have more women coming on and we're trying to get more women to come on, it's really sad, but that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions from the committee? Thank you for your service and sharing your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Next, we'll hear from Chevelle McCollum. Chevelle, are you available? Michael, we'll go back to you now. Let's third time's a charm. Fourth time. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, he's. I don't know. Third time's a charm. Okay. Okay. So.
Yep.
Michael. Okay. No, I see. He has no audio, though, I guess is what we're being told. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. I think we're going to, unless Michael speaks up now, I see his face. No.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, we got Chevelle here. You could go. We can hear you. We could hear you. Yeah, that's on my end.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead.
It's like in and out because my background is a little noisy.
Chevelle, we could hear you. You just need to speak ahead. I'm asking you to unmute, so if you unmute yourself, you should be able to go now. Okay, sorry about that. I guess we're having some technical difficulties here. Oh, now, Chevelle, if you're there. Okay, sorry everyone. I think we're having some trouble getting this lined up here. So if anyone else wants to speak, they could submit written testimony, and we'll absolutely review it on the committee as well. So the email address for that is testimony@council.nyc.gov. So I think that we're going to wrap it up here. Passing it back to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Today has been a hearing that has been a long time coming, but I'd like to thank my wonderful colleague, Gail Brewer, for championing this issue, and it is near and dear to her heart and to the hearts of everyone here on this panel. I'd also like to thank the Speaker's Office for fast-tracking this and the administration for their support on this issue. All of those who are on the bill, Council Members Holden, Carr, and Yeager, thank you for your support. And anyone else who'd like to sign on, please do. As we wrap up, I'd like to thank Josh Kingsley, Will Hongash, my Chief of Staff, Phyllis Cirillo, but most of all, each and every one of you who came here to testify, not just today, but at our last hearing, which is what made this day happen. And as the council member said, we are more than cautiously optimistic that this bill will pass at our next stated meeting. So again, thank you, stay safe, and we appreciate you coming in.